Alright, so more people are still joining in. Thank you all for joining today's session. Good morning, good afternoon, from wherever you're joining from. My name is Adewale, and I'm going to be guiding you through the first part of today's session before I hand over to our guest speaker. to our guest speaker. So, can you need to share my screen so I can lay the foundation of today's topic so we can just discuss about what SDG is all about before I hand over to our expert. Can we all see my screen, please?
Yes, I can see your screen from my end.
All right, thank you. Today we're going to be talking about SDG 10, which is reduce inequalities. We're going to be talking about inequalities. And if you've been joining all our sessions, if you've been part of all our sessions, you know that we've had a lot of webinars that are centered around SDGs. And from SDG 1 to today's session, which is SDG 10. And we all know that like this session is a part of our broader mission to support organizations in aligning their strategy with global goals, especially around governance, equity, and sustainable development. So let me just dive right into today's introduction. So first things first, what is SDG 10? As we all know, SDG 10 is basically about reducing inequalities, right? Reducing inequalities in countries and between countries, right? Let's say, for example, reducing inequalities within Nigeria and as well as reducing inequalities between Nigeria and another country. Okay, so we are trying to reduce inequalities between the rich and the poor, reducing inequalities um, um, in between people that lack access to education and people that do have access to education, right? And unfair treatment of certain groups like immigrants. Let's say, for example, you travel to a new country and you experience this unfair treatment because of your race, your background. That is the whole point of SDG 10, basically reducing inequalities, right? Just to make like the environment safer and it's a safe space for people, basically. So the second, next slide, this is going to be, let's make this a bit more interactive, right? Let's make this a bit more interactive. And I would like us to introduce ourselves first, our name, and what we hope to learn in today's session. My name is Adebayo. As I introduce first, we have more people joining us. So I would like it to be interactive. Where do you see inequality show up the most? As you can see from this diagram, there are a lot of inequalities, like a lot, from gender, age, colorism, racism. There's a lot. So I would like us to, you can unmute and tell us your experience or what you have witnessed, the inequality. Where do you think it is most common? Is it in the workplace or in the community or in your industry? Are men getting paid higher more than women? Or let's say, are there more Yoruba more than Igbo? Or like what have you experienced? What is your experience? And I would like us to share it in the chat room or unmute yourself so that we can share our experiences.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Faith Abeka from A4S. So like we're talking about inequalities, I would want to share maybe one type of inequality that I think is prevalent in this part of the world. I would say maybe say ethnicity. Looking at these 16 types of inequalities, ethnicity is one kind of inequality I think is prevalent. Using Nigeria as a case study, um, that's why we say okay. You hear people use this language saying tribalism is so prevalent, and it's even in government offices where you go to, you want to do something, and people will be like, are you an Hausa person? Are you a Yoruba person? Or are you an Igbo person? That gives you an edge. If you are maybe not an organization, for instance, maybe the person at the helm of affair is not your tribe, it makes it difficult for you to be able to penetrate or for you to be able to do some things. So for me, I would say one kind of inequality that is so prevalent would be this ethnicity, which is on number 5. It's something I get to see and I see people complain about it. So that would be one of the inequalities I think people experience.
Thank you so much, Faith. I also agree with that as well. I also agree with that. And for me, I feel like I see inequality the most in community as well, especially like when it comes to access to quality education, healthcare, because I mean, we can say that it shouldn't be, but then I can say that in 2025, there are some areas that are literally completely left behind. Like, it just feels like people don't have like equal access to opportunities or chances, right? And it just, it just leaves them at a pace where, okay, where is, they just have to like accept their fate, right? And their chances just depend on where they were born or where their family comes from, basically. So I mean, there are lots. I can't lie because equality usually like take different shapes. And yeah, so moving on, next slide. So I would like us to also differentiate SDG 10 and SDG 5 as well as DEI. So these three are kind of connected, right? If you also, you can actually also share your own, you can share the similarities. You can share your similarities in the group chat. How do you think these three are interconnected? How do you think, I mean, they are not the same, but they are kind of connected, right? So let me just quickly explain this. For me, SDG 10 is like basically about inequalities for everyone, while SDG 5 is specifically just for gender, right? And DEY stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, as you can see, which is this one is just limited to the internal sector in organizations, basically how companies internally treat their staff fairly. So these three are kind of interwoven, but they are not the same. So before I hand over to our speaker for today, Mr. Adenekan, hand over to Mr. Adenekan, I'd like to also and I have a special announcement actually. I have a special announcement. So we are going to be having our annual sustainability summit coming up on July 27th. And this is going to be an exciting and practical event. So whether you're a professional, CSR, CSR professional, like, sis, can you help me mute that person? So whether you're a sustainability professional, CSR or ESG lead, development workers or NGO, government agencies, policy makers, or if you know anyone that is, channeling progress and sustainability, please, this event or this summit is for you. You can take a screenshot of the link to register for the event, as well as share with your colleagues that are channeling progress in sustainability. So my colleague is going to be putting the link in the chat room for everyone to have a direct access. to register for this event. And yes, that'll be all from me today. And I'll be handing over to our speaker for the day, Mr. Adenekan Adewale from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. Thank you so much. Mr. Adewale, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry, good afternoon. I'm sorry, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Adenekan Adewale from Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. I want to welcome and thank you all for taking out your time for attending this wonderful session of Sustainable Development Goal 10, titled Inequalities. I welcome you all as we journey together, along the slides. And thank you for giving us opportunity to also express what the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, under the leadership of Professor Nentawe Goshwe Iwalda, Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. I'll be sharing my slide. I don't know if you can see my slide.
Not yet. We can't see your slide, sir.
Okay, just a moment. Fine. Can everyone confirm that my slide is on now?
Okay, sir. Maybe you stop sharing and then you reshare again because it's not yet.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gosh.
I think I'll just share my screen from here. How about that?
Sorry, one moment, please. Okay. Okay, can everyone confirm seeing the screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen now, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So session today we'll be talking about reducing inequality in Nigeria as a case studies. Like the team from A4S earlier mentioned, where we have different kind of experience as regards inequalities. Here we'll be talking about what the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is doing to combat challenges we go through as regards SDG 10. Now, we will be also talking about the overview. The SDG 10 aims to reduce inequality within and among countries, focus on income growth and social and economic inclusions, and eliminating discriminatory policies, promote equal opportunity, and reduce inequalities of outcomes. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction mandate is one of our mandates through Professor Nitawe Goshwe Iwalda, the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian, is to also combat the challenges we have through inequalities in terms of gender inequalities, in terms of income redistributions, and social inclusions. So basically, we have a department called Social Development that handles this part of SDG 10, in the ministry. And we provide with these policies, we make sure that we follow up with the policies, we work with the public-private sectors to combat these challenges, to make sure that some of the registered NGOs, non-governmental organizations in Nigeria, others, to make sure that the gender inequalities begin to fizzle out as we proceed. So, promote equal opportunity and reduce inequalities of outcome. The ministry makes sure that even the vulnerable group in Nigeria, so to say, irrespective of the religion, the gender, the categories, as long as we're Nigerian, the ministry makes sure that they follow through. Also, the IDPs, where we are having this challenge, we work with the relevant organizations like UNICEF for children, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, UNIDO, and all that. We work with all the development partners to make sure that we are able to reduce the challenges we're having with inequalities to the barest minimum. Please, next slide, please. So here we'll be talking about inequality landscape in Nigeria. We just have three inequality landscape in Nigeria that is more rampant. We have high level of income disparity between urban and rural area. If you look at the specific issues we're having in Nigeria, yes, we know that this gap exists, but the reality is the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction is doing a lot to address these challenges. And we'll see how one of many programs that we've had and we have been we're issuing to make sure that there's a structure in place, so that at any particular point in time, the challenges are taken care of, because it is inevitable for a country as big as Nigeria not to have challenges. Yes, because we're a developing country. So the number two, we have regional imbalances in development and access to services. Now, one of the presidential priority under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of Nigeria, also signed, I think, late last year, for the country to have a regional development. And the regional development comprises of South-South Commission, Development Commission, Southeast Development Commission, Northeast Development Commission, and Southwest Development Commission. So today, I can tell you that we have a ministry, a federal ministry in Nigeria, situated in Abuja, in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja here, that handles, that made policies, and it's called the Ministry of Regional Development. So in this way, one of their mandates is to also provide policies, development, standard operating procedures, monitoring and evaluation, work with PPP to make sure that each region gets the adequate and expected efficient services that is due to them. Then third one, we have gender, disability, and age-related inequalities remain prevalent. Yes, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction Minister make sure that the issue of gender, because there's a department called Special Duty under the ministry that handle the disability processes. There's a commission under the ministry, the full-fledged agency. It's called the Disability Commission. So the ministry supervises Disability Commission, where the gender inequality issues related, age-related inequalities, and the age-related inequalities under the ministry also, where we have National Senior Citizen Center, where this harmonized, we have probable solution where the aged population part of our country are being taken care of, their policies, the benefits you are supposed to get when you are getting old, when you retire, the post-retirement from 60 onward. So these are things that one of the solutions where Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs are coming in to make sure that as a Nigerian, you have equal opportunities. That's regards to inequalities landscape in Nigeria. Next slide. Now, root causes of inequalities. Here, we'll be talking about what are the causes? Why are we here? Where do you want to be? So, number one is unequal access to quality and healthcare educations. 2, unemployment and underemployment. 3, ethnic and regional disparities. 4, limited access to social protections and financial services. So, unequal access to quality educations and healthcare. The ministry has really partnered with Nigerian Loan Education Funds, then Ministry of Education. Today, I can also confirm to you that Mr. President, when he signed the Nigerian Loan Education Fund to place, Nigerians now have equal opportunity to attend both secondary and tertiary educations without being funds. So these are one of the things that to combat unequal access to quality education. Because if you look at Nigeria before and in the early part of the administrations, you have a lot of people, a lot of puppies and children, out of school children. And now, when there was a survey that the ministry took, and we discovered, okay, this is the best solution also is to encourage for government to support, to make sure that they have adequate support in terms of finance, to make sure that no one is left out of school. And today, as an ordinary Nigerians, you can log on and put your details and emails, and the call will come back, and you have everything intact. Once you have your admissions, then you'll be admitted back to school, and this will be a thing of the past. So, unemployment and underemployment. Now, we have through our data, through the ministry data, we have unemployment graduates and unemployment non-graduates. And if some of us are conversant with N-Power, we have N-Creative, N-Tech, N-Education, and so forth and so on, under the Ministry of Humanitarian, under National Social Investment Program Agency. And the agency mandate is to make sure that the under employment and unemployment graduates and non-graduates are well captured. We through the various data from each state of the 36 state plus FCT. So ethnic and regional disparities, which we partnered with regional developments, and these are ways to make sure that there's no ethnic bias, there's no regional disparities, while we're addressing the root cause of inequality. Then limited access to social protection and financial services. These are also made sure that the ministry made sure that we have the various programs. We have government empowerment and enterprise program, you know, government empowerment and enterprise program that address these root causes through the various activities in the ministry. Next slide, please. Now, what is the role? What is the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian and Poverty Reduction doing to make sure that we take care of, we combat the inequalities as per SDG 10? Number one, we coordinate national poverty reduction and humanitarian response. How do we do this? This happen because we know that when disaster happen in the country, we have issues, humanitarian challenges, just like the flood that happened in Borno, and that displaces a lot of people in the nations. So one of the major critical role of the ministry mandate is to make sure that we provide a temporary shelter while we partner with some other relevant agency and private sector to make sure that we integrate them. We reintegrate them back to the society. We take them out of poverty through empowerment and all that. Then number two, we develop policies. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs also develop policies to support vulnerable. One of the policies is the National Social Register. If anybody had listened to the finance minister on Arise TV yesterday, we will have also see where he mentioned how we are using electronic medium through national identity number to get to the beneficiaries in a more civilized and efficient way to make sure that the money gets to the beneficiary and all that. And we also have some other ones which we are going to see in the next slide. I mean, so they implement social protections and empowerment initiative. Yes, these are one of the policies the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian is responsible to implement to make sure that the transition to implementations of social protection of vulnerable Nigerians is properly captured. Next slide, please. Here, this slide will be talking on inclusive humanitarian policies. The National Social Investment Program, which I mentioned earlier, also manage the conditional cash transfer. These are some that is transferred to all poorest of the poor Nigerians, So this address inequalities at the grassroots. So this doesn't, I mean, it's doesn't wait to make sure that the things we're supposed to get as a Nigerian because I don't belong to a particular part in Nigeria, or I'm a Muslim, or I'm a Christian, or others. No, this address the fact that we have inequalities, and these are be treated, and it's not it's on an excellent basis, and I can assure you the poorest of the poor are also benefiting it. And the government, the next one is government enterprise and employment program. This is a program that addresses sorry. This is a program that hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
So this is a program that addresses farmers in the country. We have traders, so we have farmer money, we have trader money, and we have market money. So because you know that in growing an economy and in addressing gender base, you also need to look at how the SMEs will do very well, the market people. So the government enterprise and empowerment program addresses this through working with the local government in the 36 states of the federation by helping the farmers with the seedlings, with some stipend to clear the fields farming, and also to grant them loans, you know, in addressing then their challenges. And also we partners with the Federal Ministry of Livestock, where the livestock farmer will be given whatever that is required for them to thrive in that market. Then, you know, of course, we mentioned about Empower initially. So Empower and Creative and all that. So, and this doesn't stop on the graduate alone. It also impacts positively on the non-graduate and the IDPs and all that. And these are ways, one of many ways, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, under the leadership of Professor Nentawe Goshwe Iwala, the Federal Honorable Minister of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, make sure that the policy is developed, monitored, and enhanced to make sure that the beneficiaries are more impacted through these government inclusive humanitarian policies. Next slide, please. Now, our impact and our achievements. Yes, millions of Nigerians reach through social investment programs. And the ministry also do follow up, because I remember in 2017, 2018, there were cash grants for rural women. And these are grants of 20,000 naira stipends given to people that are selling on the street of the markets in Nigeria. People that are selling veggies, are selling, petty traders. And, you know, after 6 months, 1 year, we do monitorings, and we discover that some of them are doing well, and some through our survey and monitors, we discovered that, okay, because of inflation, the ministry needs to also work and increase the amount that we're giving to them. Maybe from some of them suggested from 20 to 50, some suggested 100,000, as the case may be. And there was already a program on to address all those shortfall, to make sure that the impact and achievement is expanded to other parts of the countries. Then we also enhance access to education and healthcare and skills. One of the major ways the ministry enhances is through a program. One of our programs is called National Homegrown School Feeding Program. This program addressed the shortfall of nutrition and feeding through primary education in most of the states in Nigeria. And through this, most of the parents are happy. The children are happy to go to school because they know that the meal per day is short, and there's a high concentration, and it has also increased the achievement is that it has also increased the number of children that were out of school and back to school, So improve welfare of displaced and vulnerable group. Yes, because the Department of Humanitarian Affairs under the ministry, a professional department that manages the internal displaced and vulnerable group in the countries. So these are true. We do this by making sure that there's a process of reaching out to them through giving them food, shelter, and stipends, and also healthcare. We partner with PPP, NGO, and the Federal Ministry of Health to make sure that at interval, their health is properly monitored, checked. A doctor is a group of medical teams were set with them. The food were available through the World Food Program and the ministry's program as well, and other donors. Next, please. Challenges and gaps. Yes, you will agree with me that in any of the programs or policies or standard operating procedures, challenges is inevitable. Yes, inadequate funding and resources because of some unplanned situation, then because of some disasters that can happen, and it's not properly budgeted for, and there was no funding. So the ministry had to also work with other partners. The ministry had to work with other partners to make sure that while this funding is properly addressed, so that we will have a standard structure in future to make sure that we combat all these challenges. Yes, Mr. President is working so much and is working with all the honorable ministers and other political appointees, the head of service, to make sure that the corruption is reduced to the barest minimum, and the delay implementation is also worked on. The poor data availability for targeted intervention. Yes, because so now that has been also taken care of. I mean, the Ministry of Communication and the Nigerian Data Management Commission, NIMSI is also working to make sure that every Nigerian is captured through NIN, to make sure that data is easier to prepare and to analyze, so that it will enable the ministry to make an informed decisions. Yes, limited coordination across agencies. And this is why we are partnering and we are coordinating with some other agencies. I mean, sometimes because of the vulnerability of the countries, you are not able to reach some places, and through through NADA, we're able to use the GPS to make sure that we get a proper coordinate for our team to work. Next slide, please. Recommendations and way forward. Number one, strengthening monitoring and evaluation system. Yes, promote community development, increase public-private partnership, enhance transparency and accountabilities. Because we believe that if we can do all these four highlights listed here, we'll be able to advance more in combating inequalities in Nigeria. Next slide, please. In conclusion, reducing inequality is key to achieving sustainable development in Nigeria. Two, inclusive humanitarian policies from Federal Ministry play a vital role, because we believe if you include all these policies, because the solution to inequality in Nigeria can't be handled by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian alone. And that's why we partner with some of other relevant agencies to make sure that we can achieve this within a reasonable period. sustained commitment, transparency, and collaboration are essential to closing the inequality gap. When we sustain our commitment to developing our nations, to make sure that we are transparent in expediting some of the reasonable actions within the shortest period, and collaborate where they are necessary to make sure that we get a viable result. And this we believe that these are important ingredients in closing the inequality gaps. And on this note, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for listening, for taking your time. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Adenekan, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. So now we're going to be moving to the Q&A session, where we're going to be taking questions from our participants. And we already have the questions from our participants. I'm just going to be reading them out for you so you can answer the question. So the first question.
No problem.
The first question here is from Biola Lawal. I don't know if she's on the call. If you're on the call, you can please signify. So this is from Biola Lawal, and she asks that how do we combat inequality in our homes and communities based on how the immediate family of both parties handle them, which can be as a result of their culture and way of life. Because I believe if we can tackle this from the root cause, then we can, okay, I think that's just a question. So the question is basically, how do we combat inequality in our homes and communities based on how the immediate family of both parties handle them? Please, do you get the question?
Yes, please. Okay. Combating inequalities in our homes and community requires intentional actions and mindset shifts. Number one, we need to look at the model respect and fairness. We need to teach our children and family, practice equality of gender, age, or ability. We need to, there is this, we need to ensure that all family member voices are heard and valued in decision making. We should not also encourage disparities among our children, either male or female. Then we should not also challenge stereotypes. We should avoid reinforcing traditional gender roles. E.g., for example, you say girls cook, boys fix things. We have seen that enough, and it should not be happening. We should believe that whatever the female one can do, the male can do, the female one can do. We should encourage our children to explore diverse interests and responsibilities. Then we should also have equitable distribution of labor. We should share house chores and responsibility fairly, not based on outdated norms. We should not believe in all these outdated norms. We should show that all work inside or outside the home deserves respect. Then we should have open conversations. We should talk about fairness, inclusion, and diversity regularly. We should encourage our children and family members to speak up about unfair treatment. Then lastly, we should educate ourselves. We should learn about systemic inequalities. For example, racism, ableism, sexism. So we should also read diversity books, watch documentaries, and engage with inclusive media. I believe that if we do all this, it will help reduce inequalities to the barest minimum and within our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. I hope we've been able to answer your question. So Mr. Musa was raising up his hand. Okay, so let's just move to the next question. So in the chat room, inequalities is an issue that has to be dealt with from tender age of individuals. How do the ministry intend to incorporate this in schools, such as including it in school curriculum? From Mrs. Stella, where you did.
How to include inequality in school curriculum. Right? If I may get your question right.
Yes, please. Okay,
Okay.
Mrs. I guess it's a Miss. Miss Biola Olawal is raising up her hand, so I think let's take that first.
Okay, so in inequality in school curriculum, yes, we understand that it will help students understand fairness, justice, and real-world impact of social system. Well, I think the Ministry of Education will partner. The ministry will take this home and we'll work with relevant agency and Ministry of Education to make sure that this will be also introduced in the school curriculum. But the basic thing, like we normally say generally, that charity begins at home, is for us to educate children from home, family, and the community. Because yes, we know that in the school curriculum, it will have advantage. It will teach about social right movements, social studies. But already in social study, I believe, I'm not sure if I check the curriculum, we have some part of gender inequalities. We have literature and language and all that. But I think the Ministry of Education, some of them are here also listening from the ministry. They are listening, and I'm sure that everybody will take it back home to make sure that this is properly implemented. I hope I've been able to answer your question, please.
Okay. Please, this is Biola Lawa. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It's actually a male, not a female.
Oh, sorry.
All right. I was the one that asked the question earlier, that if we can, tackle the idea of gender inequality or inequalities in general now, from the grassroots, which is our homes, of which we know most of this comes as a result of probably the culture, that each of these families come from, or what they practice in their culture, and the community as a whole. So what I'm saying is that what is the role of the ministry now in sensitizing the families, the communities on these particular issues? So what is the ministry doing? Is there any form of program that has been put in place, or probably some outdoor activity that has been put in place to, bring families and the communities into awareness? No.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I'm actually asking. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Biola Lawal, for your question. It's a wonderful question. Yes, under the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Professor Nentanwe Goshwe, the ministry is combating gender inequality through what is called family casework. We have what is called family casework. It's a program under the Department of Social Development. Now, this family casework is all about family. family management, family issues. We have had experience where people bring their family issues come here, and an officer is assigned and tell you you have a very, very wonderful experience. So we have this program on a quarterly basis in Nigeria, through the ministry. And I'll tell you, a sensitization program is being done on the media, through the media, radio, print media, and all some other social media. If some of us has been following the handles of the Federal Ministry of my social media handle of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, to also understand, interact, and to see where the ministry is, how it's being handled, the issue of gender inequality. Um, we also do this by promoting inclusive development, because in some times when we have that and we have a health related issue with it, so we have to work with some other agencies, ministries like Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Labor, to make sure that we have a robust solution to ensure inclusive access to service. Then the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction also help design programs that reduce barrier for marginalized groups, as part to reduce gender inequality. We also have a program that's called advocacy and sensitization for gender sensitive and disability inclusive policies. So the ministry also, while coordinating with NGOs and international agencies, we partners with United Nations, Red Cross, and local non-governmental organizations to amplify the reach and resources. These are the ways the ministry also make sure that we monitor, we evaluate hate distribution to avoid duplication and discriminations. Then we also facilitate data collections to identify inequality gaps and track progress process. So then where we have conflicts and displacement support, we assist the IDPs, refugees, and returnees. We promote safe settlement, trauma recovery, and livelihood restorations. We ensure displaced people are not left out of national services and development plans, So we have all this. Then we also have capacity building and empowerment. We train local community in disaster preparedness and first aid resilience. We support local traders, especially women and youth, to take active roles in rebuilding advocacies. So, these are ways the ministry is taking to combat inequalities.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Viola, I hope you've been able to answer your question. So moving on, let's move to the next question. So this question is from Mr.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
So this question is from Mr. Ojo Dauda, and he said, how can we reduce inequalities in our society, right? How can we improve access to quality education, promote equal economic opportunities, strengthen social protection systems, improve healthcare access, and foster social cohesion?
Okay. So how can we improve social protection system, strengthen economic activities and all that? Now, okay, so these questions are interwoven, they work with each other, they depended on each other to try. And because if you don't have a good system, or if you have a bad health, it's going to impact on you. You can do a lot. And if you have an equality issue also, it can impact on your health, So the ministry also, we strengthen all vulnerable groups, the informal workers, rural populations, persons with disabilities, elderly, refugee, and unemployed. The ministry also remove barriers such as complex registration process, lack of identification, or urban-centric programs. We also ensure that adequate and sustainable financing. We allocate a stable budget to social protection through progressive taxation, taxes, wealth, and because the ministry is capped under the national budget as a social sector. So it's a service ministry to all Nigerians. We reduce reliance on external donors and national ownership. Then we prevent leakages by improving financial management and oversight. So then the ministry also have data. We digitalize system, improve infrastructures. We use digital tools for registration, payment, and monitoring. We build data system to identify at-risk population and track. So that because if you need we also provide psychosocial support to make sure that the vulnerable group in the society are well taken care of through our empowerment programs, by providing welfare, healthcare services, access to basic and infrastructures in the societies. Then we also promote, we build resilience into the system. We design programs that can scale up quickly during emergencies like floods, pandemics, and economic shocks. We use early warning system to trigger automatic support before crisis worsen. So we also strengthen the legal and policy framework because we believe that these are one of the things that can also impact on the processes. So we embedded social protection into national development plans and poverty reduction strategies. We create independent bodies to monitor effective and ensure accountability. So then we invest in human capital. We invest in human capacity. We train social workers. We collaborate with case managers and local government staff. We build strong local institutions that can implement programs effectively. Then we empower community with knowledge of their rights and how to assess benefits. So, and we have many social protection programs like cash grants, we have food and nutrition, we have employment program and social services, and on and on and on and on. So I hope I've been able to answer Mr. Uju Dauda's question.
All right, thank you so much. So we'll just take the last question and then we'll round up. So this is from Miss Mary Fumi Adebayo, and she asked if we can create and maintain sustainable skills in our rural areas. Like, can we create and maintain sustainable skills in our rural areas, and what has the ministry done as regards to that?
Please, can you say the question again, please?
So she asks that, can we maintain sustainable skills in our rural areas, and what has the ministry done as regards to that?
Okay. Thank you. Like I rightly mentioned earlier in my slides, we are working, the ministry collaborates with local governments. And, we have 774 local governments in Nigeria. We have representatives. We have, we call our monitors in the states. The ministry has a digital asset with them for the data collections. We train them, we sensitize them to the societies, then we collaborate, we get their data, and we work together. So the ministry makes sure that there is a synergy from the local government to the federal. We make sure that the presence of the federal is being felt in each of the local government of the federation through our programs and the community officers. We call them community officers that works for the ministry to make sure that, and these officers are fit, they were selected from each of the local governments that understand the topography, the terrain, and the need of people. Humanitarian challenges that is case by case basis are not peculiar to each other in each of the local government. So, and I believe that through all these empowerment programs, capacity buildings, the ministry will be able to retain the skills, to be sustainable, to have efficient implementation processes to combat inequalities in our various communities in Nigeria. I hope I've been able to answer your questions, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. I hope we've been able to answer your question, Miss Mary, if you're on the call. And we have come to the end of this session. Thank you all so much for joining today's session. I hope the conversation gave you something to think about, and more importantly, something to act on. So inequality isn't just like, inequality is basically nothing if you just talk about it and you don't, take action. It's something that shows up in our everyday lives, and the more aware we are, the more equipped we become to challenge it, right? So before we go, I want to remind you to register for our upcoming events, especially the annual Personality Summit happening on July 17th. So I'll be projecting that again for the sake of those that joined us late. So this event, please do well and register, and you can as well take a screenshot or share it with your colleagues that are channeling progress in sustainability, as well as our upcoming webinar next month, which my colleague is going to drop in the chat room. I believe it's already in the chat room. So you can just click on it and register for the event. And we'll bring it together as experts, practitioners, and change makers to discuss how to drive real impact through ESG and SDG alignment. So the link is in the chat room. I'll give you time to access the link and register for this event. So on behalf of the A4S team, thank you all again for showing up. Thank you, Mr. Adenekan, Mr. Adenekan Adewale. Thank you for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. Thank you for bringing more light to talk about the inequalities that prevail in our society. So thank you all. Have a great day, and let's keep pushing for change. And before we end the session, I'll just give you time to be able to access the link in the chat room and register for the webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. And I wish you all the best. Thank you for taking your time to listen to us.
Thank you so much.
And have a great day.
Enjoy the rest of the day.